Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawud Daw from GMS Tampa Bay '07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught me this truth and that ruled well. A salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth with sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. All right, we're going to jump into this news update, this news article dealing with Germany, all right? And as they're getting prepared for what they know is destined to come, which is World War III, all right? Just like over in Germany, it's going to be the same way over here, where they're going to pretty much implement a draft. They're going to need more and more soldiers. And as you read through this here article, you'll be able to understand that, you know, they trying to get as many bodies as possible because they know World War III is coming, all right? So this here is from RT. It says Germany mulls bringing back conscriptions to boost fallen army numbers, all right? Now, this conscriptions is basically a draft, all right? It says 7 years after abolishing the draft, Angela Merkel's party has floated the idea of bringing back mandatory military service. So that's, you know, like I said, it's like the draft, mandatory, not really a draft, but like they said, mandatory military service, all right? It's pretty much like what they have over in Israel, all right? It says the proposal, which doesn't sit well with everyone in Germany, has stirred a nationwide debate. The discussion unfolded after Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, Secretary General of Chancellor Merkel's Christian Democratic Party, surprisingly proposed the reintroduction of national service. It says, I can promise now we will discuss the issue of conscription very intensively again, she told the Frankfurt newspaper. Basically, they got a lot of these German names that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. But nevertheless, it says this is one of these issues we're gonna revisit this, meaning that this is something y'all gonna discuss, or meaning, hey, this was coming, all right? These conscriptions or mandatory military service. You know, when you get, you know, to be a German citizen, you gotta, serve in the military. You know, like in Israel, you gotta serve in the military as well. All right. It says, Kramp, who has been tipped as Merkel's heir apparent, added that she was not necessarily in favor of compulsory military conscriptions. There are many ways to serve, she said. Another top CDU official, Michael, who is the prime minister of Saxony, called for a referendum on bringing back conscription. Suspension of conscription has been perceived premature. At the end of a thorough discussion, citizens should be asked about the issue, he tweeted. All right, so basically, they give you that Esau tactic, you know, a left and a right, giving you the illusion you have a choice. You know, this is the agenda that they're going for. Look, y'all all gonna have to serve in the military. That's just the end all be all. But if they just tell you that, then that gives you that you're gonna lose the illusion that you so-called free. You live in a democratic society, all right, where the people vote for certain things. All right, so they're gonna always come up with so-called opposition, telling you why it's bad. But then at the end of it all, you know, what they do is they create two extremes, a far left and a far right, you know, but they want to end up in the middle. All right. So they take it to the far right and to the far left, and they drive people so far in both sides to where the people, when things collapse, they just take a little bit from both sides and settle for that, you know? And so basically that's how Esau gets down. All right. It says troops shortages have become so pronounced that military leaders recently said that they're considering available options to fill their ranks, including attracting nationals of other EU countries by offering the prospect of obtaining German citizenship. All right. So it's basically saying, like, listen, they military numbers is failing, so they can't keep up to replenish the soldiers that they have, for one, and then also to expand and to fulfill their military needs for the future. All right. It says, however, skeptical politicians doubt if compulsory service would be sufficient to address the needs of modern military. Again, this is the beast. This is part of the beast. All right. So, and the whore is riding upon the beast, and the whore is spread. The whore got her legs spread open to the whole four corners of the earth. All right. So, in order to do that, riding on the beast, you're gonna need some help. All right. Well, the whore gonna need some help. So she depending on what? The beast. All right. Now the beast is starting to need some help. All right. These are some of the reasons why the whore is going. The beast is gonna hate the whore, because you're stretching them so far. All right. They can't even keep up with their own shit. And we reading about Germany, you know. And if you've been going back and forth You know what I'm saying? Or if you've been, if you've been watching through the news, or like I updated quite a bit on these scenarios, Germany not too happy because of the NATO spending. Donald Trump want them to increase their spending, and also Germany and France want to make their own plane, their own fighter jet, but they stuck buying a damn F-35 that they don't want to buy. All right. And now with these scenarios here, now we got to increase our military spending, our budget. Then we got to buy the planes from them. Now we need to get more soldiers, more and more soldiers, At the end of it all, like, y'all starting to bankrupt us a little bit, It says, however, skeptical politicians doubt if compulsory service would be sufficient to address the needs of modern military. Hans Peter, head of the Parliamentary Defense Committee, whose Social Democratic Party is the CDU's junior partner in the Grand Coalition. All right, them and they damn confederacies with one another. They always, make these coalitions and band themselves together, And really, and that's in righteousness, Think about the curses that we under, the brothers against the brothers, the tribes against the tribes. That's why we falling against Esau, he keep us divided, But he's smart enough to know he got to stay together. All right. It says, they argued mandatory service would clash with Germany's ban on forced labor. I think it is unlikely. So again, that's that left-right, the far left, the far right, Oh, this is going to be pushing up against the forced labor, this and that, But then at the end of it all, they'll come to some kind of conclusion. They'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, we want you to serve in the military, but, it's going to be voluntary if you serve in the military. We're not going to force you to, to serve in the military. But if you want to be a German citizen, you have to do this, So, that's pretty much normally how they do it. They take these two extremes and then at the end they boil it down to a little bit of both in the middle. It says, I think it's very unlikely to assign 700,000 young men and women every year to various mandatory assignments, as attractive as this idea may sound, he said, as cited by Dushwell. So they talking about 700,000 young men and women every year to various assignments, and not to just mention like that 700,000 is a huge number when it comes to so-called military personnel, I believe America's military is like within like the 700,000 range and like the 900,000 range. All right. That's not counting your National Guard. That's not counting NATO and the EU type of shit. You're not counting none of their allies. You're just counting a regular ass straight military, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, and not none of their little special shit, just their regular soldiers. It's only about like 700 to 900,000 of them. All right. Well, really, that's pretty big, because I think like the biggest military is like a million, like one point something million, which I think it's like China and India or something like that, or China and Russia. But nevertheless, going on, Germany, they trying to, bring 700,000 in rotation every year, keep bringing, showing you the volumes and the uptick of the amount of soldiers that people need, and you would think, you would ask these so-called people that's sipping on this Babylonian juice, do you think that we live in a freer, independent, safer world today? Or do you think that it was freer, more independent yesterday or any time in the past? Do you think that we are the freest, the safest, the most independent, that has ever been on the planet Earth now? Or do you think that there was a time in the past? And they'd be like, oh, now it's definitely better. We got advancements in medication and blah, 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 and warfare. And, it's not all that bad no more, But when you got shit going off saying, look, bro, we need to increase these troops coming in, bro. We need to get more and more troops coming in every year. So if we need them, we got them already, Like, why would you need a stance like that? Why are they pushing for this now? Obviously, things are getting worse than what they were beforehand, all right? It says the pro-business Free Democrats dismissed the proposal as absurd and caution of the horrendous waste of money should conscriptions be brought back. Other opposition parties in the parliament, the left and the Green Party, also opposed the idea. Old-fashioned universal conscription is not going to help us with our current security challenges, said Henning, a leading CDU MP. So they basically saying, look, more troops ain't gonna solve our problem. Yeah, you're right. Really, the way to solve your problem is to basically hate the whore and burn the whore. All right, you got to get rid of America. They the ones making y'all have to increase your soldier count, increase your military spending, buy this, buy that, getting fucked up ass deals. and become enemies with people you don't want to be enemies with. It says, meanwhile, the right-wing nationalist alternative for Germany happened to be the only opposition in the party that backed reviving compulsory military service. On Twitter, AFD fraction leader Alice Wield said that suspension was a grave mistake, urging its reversal and move the Bundeswehr into an attractive employer. All right, so basically, this is a going back and forth and with their politics as far as oh, we need this, we can't afford this, but we need this, or we can't afford this. Like I said, they're going back and forth, back and forth. In the end, they're gonna find some kind of way to do it. The end all be all is they need more and more troops. They need more and more bodies. All right. It says some in the military were also in favor of the idea. Retired General Rams, who once led NATO forces in Afghanistan, told Frankfurt, conscriptions don't mean that service members Salakia. Says conscriptions doesn't mean that service members will be deployed in hotspots like Mali or Afghanistan. There will be other missions like the one in the Balkans where I can imagine it. Alright? And so what they're gonna kind of go into is like, yo, you don't have to go into no war type, hotspot type shit if you don't want to, only if you request that. Alright? But once you sign your name away to be government property, but yo, we know what you said, but hey, bruh, everybody else has got nuked the fuck out and we need you the last one left, so we're gonna have to throw you into the fire. That's what the fuck they're gonna make you do. Alright, it says conscriptions doesn't mean that service members will deploy in hotspots like Mali or Afghanistan, but there are other missions like the one in the Balkans where I can imagine it. It says the German armed forces have conscription services for male citizens under 2011. Karl Theodor, then defense minister, championed challenged the abolition of compulsory service, calling it obsolete. The age of professional, well-trained military. However, Germany's basic law still contains provisions that could potentially see conscriptions being reintroduced. So basically, homeboy was saying, and really, that should be the real mindset. All right, with a more advanced military, that means we need less troops, Back in the days, we didn't have all this technology. Now, we needed every man on the battlefield to be an infantryman. But really, nowadays, we could just take one soldier and have him be in control over some drones. And if one drone gets shot down, the soldier's still alive, he just reconnect to another one. All right, now that drone could do way more traveling, way more killing and all that than all these different soldiers, So in a sense, in this point in time, you should need less soldiers, with the technology you got, Says at the time, a recruit would go through 3 months of basic training and would normally reach the rank of, this word here is similar to a private first class. A German conscript has given free healthcare, housing, food, and was provided with free tickets for travel between his home and military base. So he's trying to buy you in with the perks of just coming in and, oh, you get the free house, this, and that. Just come on, go do this. You ain't even got to go into the hot spot. All right, not knowing your ass finna get chipped and sent off into the Valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. Says conscripts could not be deployed for active service in hotspots unless they consented to such a deployment. All right. And so, like I said, look, they got the little laws in place. No, we can't just send you out there like that. You know what I'm saying? But then they accompany your mind and be, how do I say, not brainwashing you, but tempting you a certain, man. You finna face a long time, bro. You might as well just go ahead and go do this and get that shit over with. Just sign here, bro. That's all you got to do, because everything else, bro, for you is looking bad, It says, conscripts would not be deployed for active service in hotspots unless they consented to such deployment. German contributions for the forces such as ISAF in Afghanistan or KFOR in Kosovo were exclusively made up of professional soldiers and volunteers. So basically, just like hired mercenaries, because they can't afford to maintain a proper military. Grab a couple scriptures real quick. All right, this is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee to the border. And the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread has laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. All right. All the men of thy confederacy and the men that was at peace with you. All right. NATO and the EU is at peace with America. They're bringing America to the border. All right. And how they going to do that? All right. As you see, we'll just stick with Germany alone. You know, Angela Merkel was upset about this percentage of that they had to pay out to the NATO from their GDP percentage. She mad about that, right? She also mad about the German Franco deal with the F-35. All right. Now they like, yo, bro. Now we gotta basically get more troops with basically mandatory military service. You know, that's, and then to feed and house all these people and pay all these perks is gonna cost us even more money. Why do we have to keep increasing numbers? Why do we have to keep doing all this? The main answer to all those things is America. So you can simply see how it's easy just to turn around like, you know what, we're gonna take all our energy and money instead of putting it into destroying everybody else. We're gonna just destroy America, and then we can all live in peace. All right. It says, shall not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau. All right, these wise men, these people who think they smart, hey man, the Most High is taking their wisdom from them, and then also, he's directing their ass. Let me grab that. This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Most High. The river, as the rivers of water, he turneth it wherever so he will. All right. So, you know, the king's heart is in the hands of the Most High. So basically, you know, like I said, Donald Trump is making these certain moves, which is stirring up the minds of these other nations, and these other nations is making certain moves and certain agreements, you know, like the Iran, sanctions, right? America with the Iran sanctions. Then he's saying, look, if any of our allies deal with them with Iran, and we're gonna put sanctions on y'all. But now the EU is saying, listen, if you know you apply with or you agree with America's sanctions, we're gonna put these sanctions on you. All right, you know what I'm saying? So they kind of stuck in a hard spot, you know. Now with the military expenditure, you know, like I said, with the NATO spending, also with the F-35, and then now they're getting more and more troops. What do you think these troops are getting ready for? They're preparing to go to all-out war. They're like, it's either we're gonna go to war with the countries that America keep making us go to war with and have to pay for all this shit, not really reaping no benefits, or we're gonna go to war with America. All right. Let me grab another scripture real quick. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. It says, the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. All right, that's the beast that the whore's riding on, NATO and the EU. These shall hate the whore. And that's what we're starting to read. You know, the reasons why the beast is starting to hate the whore. All right, they having to spend all this money and these resources, and they ain't really getting nothing up out of it. It's just hurting their economies and hurting those nations. All right. It says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right, that's gonna be the end all be all. Once they look around, like, listen, bro, we're gonna keep spending money trying to help and defend America and not get nothing out of it, or we're gonna just use what we already got and we're gonna just put that shit to America, you know. Got one more. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 2. It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, who they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. So the Most High saying, look, I'm going to bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. I'm basically to World War III, you know, out there in the Middle East. I'm going to bring y'all out there. This is what's going to be the main reasons, the main, how do I say, the center, it's going to be the center focal point that's going to tie all these other things together, some kind of problem in the Middle East. And as we see, you know, as the shit that's going on in the Middle East from the different things going on, now you see with the Iran deal, you know, now with the Iran deal and the sanctions and all that stuff that's going on with these things going on is putting America at odds with their allies. All right. Let me jump down to verse 9. All right, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. All right, so go out and tell this among, you know, the actual other nations. It says, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So basically, look, call all the mighty men to war. All the people that's serving in the military, call them all up, or basically call a draft or mandatory service. All right, get everybody prepared for war. We need soldiers. And why do you need all these soldiers? Because you don't need them for peacetime. You get them for wartime when it's about to be a war breakout. All right, these are the times when you go and you get this here resource. All right, you don't get a whole bunch of soldiers and get a draft and mandatory military service when you got 100% peace, right? Because you ain't at war with nobody. But it says, continuing on, it says, beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say I am strong. All right. So, prepare and how do I say, build and invest into your military technology. All right. But then it also says, let the weak say I am strong. All right. Let these other nations who had to, in a sense, ride up under your coattail, all right, ride under your shadows under America, Now they like, you know what? We the big man on the block, or we big enough to stand on our own feet, and especially against America. Right? That's what you're starting to slowly see happen with these other countries. Everybody else, all their allies are starting to slowly turn on them. All right? I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone and taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push in this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. Stay strong. Shalom.